All right, my name is Lyndsey Rich. I am the medical academy teacher at Valley View High School. It's in Jonesboro, Arkansas, so Northeast Arkansas. I teach 10th through 12th grade, and Strive this year has really helped my students and really helped me as a teacher and to collaborate with the business. Hytrol is the business I was partnered with. It's a 75-year-old business in Northeast Arkansas, and it helps with designing and manufacturing material handling systems. 40% of their clientele is Amazon, FedEx, UPS. So they make conveyor belts. And so I was able to work in every facet of the facility between fabrication, their robots with fabrication, the marketing team, safety coordinator, educational outreach, all of them, the whole gamut. And I'm also sat through a lot of training sessions with their engineering interns to learn more about engineering. And I went through the same training process that the engineers go through, and as well as upper management. So all upper management has to do a 2-week in the shop is what they call it. And so I went through that training program. I personally also got to work with Ready for Life with a partnership with them, which is a governor's initiative. And I was able to create content to show connections for my students personally between a worker's injury, a human resources, a safety coordinator, and the industrial engineer, speaking on how they adapted a machine that was not ergonomically safe. And one of the videos is actually being utilized by the Department of Education in one of the manufacturing classes through Virtual Arkansas, and I didn't know it. I directed this thing and I didn't even know it. And I'm creating content for Virtual Arkansas as well. And they shared this with me. I'm like, wait, I recognize that girl. Oh, wait, I recognize me. And so that's what's at the bottom of that screen right there. I knew Hytrol had industrial healthcare, which is why I was most interested in this business and working with them. And then all of a sudden I was put to work and I was putting together a 90-foot ProSort conveyor. And I was like, why am I doing this? But Dr. Bailey suggested to really keep an open mind. I thought I was going to just be with the industrial healthcare workers, but that wasn't the part. And I learned way more because of what I did. And so during my time, I would ask the workers, what do you love about your job? What can make it better? And then I would ask about injuries if they saw anything, since my classroom does focus on musculoskeletal injuries a lot. And so one of the guys, when I was what's called pulley, was talking about some of his experiences and how he got hurt the day before. And that's really what stemmed my lesson. So I teach a variety of classes in the medical classroom, but I teach 3 sections of Foundations of Healthcare like Carla does. And I assess my students' knowledge pre and post test. It was a 27 questionnaire. 23 of those were open response questions. 3 were true false, and 1 was a choose all that apply. I also used a 5E approach to really make sure my lesson was on par. So we explored first off by doing a do you even lift, bro? And it was looking at labor statistics and injuries within the Department of Labor. Then we did a posture lab looking at their own posture and talking about what's called text neck, whereas every inch that your neck is forward places 10 pounds of pressure on your neck. And my students, a lot of them had text neck because they're always looking down at their phone. So that was fun to really get them engaged in our lesson. We then started exploring ergonomics specifically and biomechanics and manufacturing. We did a think, pair, share, where they looked at they thought about musculoskeletal injuries, what jobs are in a manufacturing setting, and just how those would correspond together with ergonomics. We went further and looked at how workman's compensation would affect if a employee was hurt, how that affects the employer. And so we really looked at OSHA 10 reportable events and why healthcare workers have to be strategic on the plan that they give when working with these industrial healthcare workers. And then we compare statistics on musculoskeletal injuries to both Hytrol and then the national average to show Hytrol has a lower rate of injury. We explained problems with the 5, I'm sorry, let me regain my thoughts. We then looked at the root of ergonomics and just what that means within fabrication, welding, and office workers. Since I do teach 3 sections, each class was assigned a specific worker. So fabrication, welding, and office workers. We extended that by making them create safety training videos and presentations. It depended on if they were virtual or in person based on what they created. And then I was able to evaluate post-test as well. If you look at the top chart, you can see that there was significant growth with what they learned, able to verbalize, and the percentages on the bottom is actually the growth that they had. And then what I like the most about it for businesses is that a lot of my students couldn't say what Hytrol, if they were just like me, they didn't really know what Hytrol did. And so now 100% of my students in my classroom can say they understand what Hytrol, they can verbalize that they know about it. And then most of them, there was about 4 or 5 that couldn't, but most of them could also say what they did and give job examples on that, which is really important, specifically industrial engineers, because I didn't understand what an industrial engineer, but that plays a role into healthcare, safety coordinator positions, and then industrial healthcare workers. I also was invited back to talk to their engineering interns this summer in July. I gave a presentation on soft skills and personality testing. I teach abnormal psychology, so I did personality testing with them, and I worked with them on that. And then I got to give my presentation to upper management, including the CEO, in July.
So I way missed the 1 minute mark there, but I thought you were getting close.
There is a video there too that you can click on, but they don't have to watch it. But that was like end of content.
It'll be available to share with everybody. And Riley's placement, Lyndsey's placement, Riley's going next. Lyndsey's placement was one where the company got way more than there's money's worth out of her and everything that she did. Questions?
Just really great to see the reflection of how much OSHA and safety culture is represented in manufacturing. I think that's a surprise to a lot of people. Even with the PPE introduction that you get in like a lab, it's just really a next level when you start talking about a company and their safety requirements and how they relate to OSHA. So it's great to see that there's been that introduction and kind of that real world connection between the fiscal impact, but also the human one when it comes to OSHA regulation and company safety culture. So I really enjoyed this. Thank you for sharing.